Happy New Year! I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year and just be so grateful to all of you for making it this far in this playthrough, because I adore this game, and the only reason I can play it is because all of you watch it. So it's awesome that we can kind of all come together and be united by something so special like this, because I wasn't sure at first when I first started back in lobotomy days. I wasn't sure how invested I was going to get in a game that seemed kind of cartoony, a little silly at times, and seemed overly simple. God, how wrong I was, but overly simple in the beginning. Like, it felt a lot like the really simple Vault Keeper, the Fallout like Vault Keeper game, where like it's a base management thing. And I was okay with that. I like base management games, but was I in for a wild ride? And it feels so fitting that we can kind of sit and reflect on that right now. Because as a new year starts, we're going to have new experiences, and we get to say goodbye to all the old ones. And I just wanted to just say thank you to everyone. And I always feel awkward doing these, because I never know if it comes off as like braggy or whatever, but I just want to be thankful to the people who have gone above and beyond and have donated and given us super thanks, because that really helps us. But I don't also want to make people feel like they have to do that. So that's why I always am conflicted. Like, I need money, but also I'm providing a free service and I get paid through ad revenue most of the time whenever they don't copyright claim the songs in library. But that's my problem. That's not your problem. Your problem is having to sit through and put up with me for an extended period of time, which I greatly appreciate. So thank you to everyone. But then again, I also want to be really real with everyone, and that is the reality of things. I am in this business to do business and have fun with everyone, and that's the only way I can do that. So that's why we're here. But I want to show some, like, where a lot of that is going, too. Like, the first is this awesome art book. At first, I thought, an art book? How intensive and how much could be in an art book that it would be $20? Then I looked. This is 438 pages of the volume 1. There's 2 volumes in this art book. It is definitely, apparently, it's very worth it. And I've flipped through, it's so interesting. Because, again, I am absolutely fascinated by everything that Project Moon has created. Everything that they have developed. And what's really fascinating about this art book, to me anyway, and I won't go through all of the art book because we can't, but this is what the project lore is all about. Project lore is about peering behind the curtains, getting a good feel for what the devs intended, what the world is supposed to be, and how we can better understand what's actually going on in the story. And this gives us such insight, because not only do we get to learn a little bit about each of the librarians, each of the foes or enemies or whatever that we fight against, but we get to see all of the different levels. I forgot about this part where creepy Roland's just in the back chilling with that stupid grin on his face as he's eavesdropping. But we get a little bit of insight to what the devs were thinking too. When I worked on the floor realization, it was nice to be able to depart from characters set in the near future city and design things more grounded within fantasy aesthetics, similar to what we had in Lobotomy Corp. I could also gain a deeper understanding of Angela's thoughts and sentiments through the process. The background track that begins with a tone of sadness and explodes into anger is another highlight of Angela's realizations. So little things like that, each developer can't be a part of the entire project. That is impossible. So each one of them has to work on their own little realm. So it's neat when they get to cross lines that way, and we get to see what they're thinking when they're finally seeing some stuff that they're not used to. I also like this one. Kess says I personally like Malekith's shorter hair, which is just cool, because it makes it feel more real to me. It's not someone just being a robot and thinking, okay, how do I get Malekith from point A to point B and do a realization and make sure that this feels seamless and it feels like they're immersed in the world? No, these are actual people with preferences and desires, and they enjoy the process of making this and sharing their creation with the world. Cass goes on to say, you can see her real-life incarnation when you visit Ham Ham Pang Pang. What? She often dyes her hair to try and change her image. Malkuth, working hard all the time, is a pleasing sight. Go get 'em, Ham Ham Pang Pang. Wait, was Malkuth inspired by someone? That makes me feel like there's someone at Ham Ham Pang Pang that inspired the character of Malkuth, and that's even cooler to me. If anyone is really familiar with this restaurant and like wants to explain what the aesthetic of the restaurant is and whether it has anything to do with the games or not, please share, because I'm fascinated with the dichotomy of running their own restaurant and developing their own video game. How did that happen? What is going on? And which came first? Did they make a game and think, boy, we order out a lot, so there's a lot of food bills. You know what'd be nice? We just have our own restaurant. We can make up the difference by selling food to other people, as well as just eating our own food. Or were they making food and they had a restaurant and they're like, boy, I'm bored. I wish I could play video games. But there's nothing that's as interesting as what I can imagine when I'm sitting there frying food up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think about, like, how that happened. Oh, and look. Her specialties is spatial awareness, and her likes, potatoes, novelty candles, and her dislikes are giving up. And it has her birthday, March 24th. I mean, that just gives us such insight into Malkuth and the floor of history. It looks like the whole first part... Hold on, let me go back to the table of contents. Yeah, so the first section is all the patron librarians, and it goes through all of the different floors. All the way up into floor of general works, and then the director's room. I'm not going to touch any of that because there's probably going to be a lot of spoilers. That's why another reason I don't want to go through everything, because I don't want to spoil everything for myself either. But I kind of just wanted to show this off and like show, hey, if you're interested in this and you don't have the art book, it's available and it's awesome. Oh, the adorable little sprites. Her ego that she gets. Oh, Angela is such a cutie pie, especially in this bee outfit. I'm impressed that they did this on top of everything else that they did. They provided a really well thought out and actually pretty interesting art book. It's not just a whole bunch of pictures just slammed together. The next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to go through and I wanted to listen to some of the songs, because people were suggesting that I should go through and listen to some of those songs because they're really interesting and they give us insight into what the different characters like Roland and Angela are thinking in that moment. Like I've been so invested in this that I've been getting not exactly like official merch, because it's really hard to find official merch unless it's custom made and really expensive. But I've been finding stuff that I thought was very similar. Like that was one of the big reasons why I was so upset that Hakma didn't have his pocket watch. I'm like, I got the pocket watch. I mean, it's not the pocket watch. Like I said, it's super expensive to get custom made stuff that is of it. But I found a pocket watch that looked very similar because I love the whole idea that he can control time, or that we can control time through like the T-Corp stuff. So I just thought it was fitting. I had something that was like a little memento. I've also been working on trying to get myself a little like display case, and I decided, well, it's just a lot cheaper if I just make one. So I'm working on making one, but it's essentially gotten to the point now where I'm really invested. So I have always been looking for like little merch that I can represent some of the games I absolutely love. Now we need to move on to the next part. So I'm going to start the game up and then we're going to listen. I almost guaranteed that I won't be able to monetize this because all of these songs always get flagged. But I want to go through. I want to make sure that we do this the right way. I want to listen to them. So we're going to start off with the first one, which I think is, what does it say it's called? String Theocracy, which is this one, the opening theme. Now, we've listened to this one before. Clockwork Orange. Isn't that another game? I'll have to look that up. And I don't know what she means by buttered till the end. It's not just the lyrics and the music itself, but all of the art that goes along with this is amazing too. Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot in that one song. So I want to go through at least the main theme for this one. Then I want to read some of the credenzas, so I probably won't get through all of the different songs, but I want to go through at least this one, for sure, because this one's so important. It opens up with Open the Curtains, lights on. That sets the stage. This is a play. That means that someone is dictating the movements of the players in the play, which we're led to believe is Angela in the beginning. But now that we've gotten far enough in, we're not sure exactly who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Because Angela's controlling the library, sort of, but the library is also controlling itself. So the question is Carmen doing that? Is A doing that? Because the library is made up predominantly of light, and A and Carmen both were consumed by the light, so theoretically they should be part of this library somewhere. So I don't know who's pulling the strings in the library directly. And we don't know who's pulling the strings out in the streets. Presumably it's Blue, but we don't know that one for sure either. Because the Purple Tear was a big candidate until we got rid of her. Now there's possibly the Head, maybe one of the other corporations or one of the other wings. There's a lot of questions that we still haven't answered yet. And I was told that now that we're pretty far in, the story's just going to grow exponentially from here. So we're going to be tying up all of these loose ends and so answering a lot of questions and having a lot more questions asked. And we won't get answers to everything until we complete Limbus, supposedly. But let's get back to the song. Let's continue. So don't miss a second of this experiment is the next line, which suggests, again, that this is all one giant experiment. Again, someone is doing an experiment, which means they're controlling every aspect. Because the most important thing of an experiment is that every variable except the one that you want to change is controlled. And then you let one change and you view the results. So you're minimizing variables. That's what an experiment means. It goes on to say the book is strange, like Clockwork Orange. The book is obvious because we collect books. That's the stories of other people. I don't know. Let me look up what Clockwork Orange is really quick. A Clockwork Orange. It was a movie back in 1971. Oh, I've seen images of this online before. It looks weird. I'm not sure that I can really show too many of the photos for it, but if you're curious, you can Google it for yourself. It's very strange. So I can understand why they would say that. Was that a lot of the inspiration, though? Otherwise, why would they even mention it? It's actually in the opening theme that plays every single time. Either way, it's really curious that they would mention Clockwork Orange within the first 15 seconds of the game starting. Then the next thing that they say is keep your eyes buttered till the end. And I don't know if that's another reference to Clockwork Orange or not, because a lot of the pictures I'm seeing basically have something to do with an eye Does it have to do with brainwashing? It sort of looks like there might be something to do with brainwashing. I have a feeling I would understand a lot more of this if I've seen this film. So I don't understand that, but the next part I do get. Which you are you going to be? Because you do. You get to make a choice every single day. Which you do you choose to be today? Unless you've turned into a book and your whole life is right there and you only have your past and not your future, you get to make a choice what you're going to do today to influence your future for tomorrow. And that is a pretty obvious theme throughout all of Library. And that's what all of the realizations and the abnormality, distortions, all the distortions are all about, and the ego realizations. Those are all about who the people choose to be at that moment, which influences who they are later on. And then it goes on to say, inside the mirror, do you see someone else in that body? Which I guess is a play on words, which also goes along with which you do you want to be. This idea that we don't perceive ourselves as who everyone else perceives us to be. Like, you never know what people are thinking about you or saying about you behind your back. You can only know what you feel about yourself. So you have to perceive yourself in your own way and be okay with how you perceive yourself, or not be okay with how you perceive yourself. Because there's a lot of identity crisis that happens throughout life, just in general. And it's even more so, it's like rampant in Library of Ruina. Nobody feels empowered. Nobody feels like they have their own choices. Whether it's the city dictating what people have to do, whether it was A's play dictating which each person had to do. Angela is huge about this idea that she doesn't have her own self-identity. The only identity she has is linked to what she is and not who she is. She's an AI that was designed to assist in the suppression of horrible feelings of other people. And that's all that she ever will be in her own mind. And it's that identity crisis that she has to overcome, and she has to become her own person. That's really cool that it starts off, which I think with brainwashing, which can arguably be both good or bad. If it's bad, it's called brainwashing. If it's good, it's called cognitive behavioral therapy. And it just helps you form your own opinions about things. And either way, it's a form of brainwashing. And how that brainwashing can affect your perception of yourself and the world around you. And how does that perception of yourself change things? And that's in the first 30 seconds of this song. But I don't have time to evaluate everything. I don't. I have to keep moving. We're at 32 seconds into the song. It says, "Dance for me," which is a demand. It's a command, which suggests that whoever is singing this song is the one pulling the strings. They're the one that's controlling everything. And we don't know who's singing the song. So obviously, since the artist is Millie, and the vocals that we hear are female, we are instantly drawn to Angela being the person drawing pulling the strings. And I think in this image, this is when we see Roland for the first time. So what that says is that this is the first time we're introduced to Roland, and the first time that Roland is introduced, Angela is the one in control. But that's because she's in control of the library. That doesn't mean she maintains control, because it sort of changes imagery as we go throughout the song. You know, as we move further on, it shifts. So we're no longer talking about Roland being a puppet on strings, but we're talking about Angela and her staring at herself and trying to come to grips with this idea that she's becoming human now. But at this moment, we're still talking about Roland. So dance for me, 1 and 2 and 3, and turn around and sit like a doggy. So our poor Roland, when he first got there, that's basically how he was treated. I love the imagery in this scene because you can see it all over his face, that he's coming in, he has no idea what to expect, has already gone through a lot with the loss of his loved ones, his whole family gone, and he forced his way into the library somehow. I'm still convinced that's what happened. He didn't just magically pop in there, but he forced his way into the library somehow and was instantly vaporized and then rematerialized. Could you imagine to have to go through losing everyone, dying, and then coming back to life? Just in the first 5 seconds of being in this brand new place. Your head would just be spinning. So we'll continue on until I finish my read, which again is all about books. And that is a little bit more profound than it sounds. Because at first it sounds like Angela's being dismissive. Like, you go sit over there until I have time for you. That's what it sounds like. But actually, I think what it actually means, till I finish my read, is the book. The one book. So she's not saying, or not dismissing Roland, saying, you go and sit over there till I'm done doing whatever I need to do. She's saying that I will be controlling you. You must sit like a dog. You must obey me until I finish my book and I can read it. The one book. He's not allowed to disobey her until this is all over. That is the slight difference there, I think. I think that's a lot stronger than it seems. But at first, you just think, okay, she's just dismissing the poor dude. It continues. Cut it off. Cut down your loss. All that stubborn loyalty is going to get you killed. In a world built on convenient theories. Basically saying that if you can somehow cut the strings and no longer be a puppet, no longer be someone that is loyal to the city or loyal to how life currently is, if you can see beyond yourself, then you can finally break free and you can live life and not just die in a gutter somewhere. But what's really interesting is that goes so well with the next line. There is comfort in the strings. That basically means that you can just give up and let other people control your life. And honestly, if you can do that and be happy with that, then you can be content in life. And being content in life like that and just going with the flow and not having to think about anything, it removes stress completely. And it removes the feeling of guilt with anything that you do. I mean, you basically become a hollow shell of yourself. But if you're trying to do away with all of the bad feelings, I mean, that's essentially how you do it. You get rid of all feelings. It kind of sucks, though, because you also remove all the good parts about life, too, the freedoms that you normally would have. But I understand. I understand how comforting that could be. To just say, you know what, I have messed up this life enough. I don't want to control it anymore. Just tell me what to do. And that's what makes the index and the prescript so powerful, and why people are so apt to just jump on board and be like, yes, just tell me how to live my life. Tell me how to eat and what to think and what to say, because every time I eat, think, or say anything, it's always wrong. It goes on to say, if you're going to control me, at least make it interesting theatrically. Because that's basically saying, okay, I don't want to control this life, but make it interesting. Don't just make it boring for me. But that is the epitome of having your cake and eating it too. But that's not how any of that works. Well, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just for me, and it could be very subjective. But I think a big part of what makes life interesting is both the good and the bad. And it's the fact that we get to make these choices, and we don't know where these choices are going to land us, is what makes life so cool and so interesting. But at the minute mark, it says, when does it end for me? So whether that's life or the suffering that they're going through, the obedience that they have to have, I mean, there's a lot to that. But it continues. I think I'm done with everything. Now I'm ready to leave. Dragging out 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines. Connect our hands. So it means come together. But that could also mean to bring everyone together, similar to collecting all the light. There's a lot of symbolism in this. That's what I'm saying. There's so much symbolism just in this one simple song. But after that, it goes on. When I no longer can live on knowledge alone, you gave me strength, hopeful curiosity. Maybe there are still happy answers left for my discovery. Meaning that it's the friendship and the people that they met along the way. Whoever's singing this, whether it's Roland, Angela, whomever, they're the ones who are finally coming to terms with this world and what it means to have strength. And when they no longer have the knowledge that they had before, and they're relearning everything, and they're relearning what the world has to offer, they found comfort in other people. And that's great. That's wonderful. That means that there may be a happy ending yet. Maybe there's still happy answers for me. Okay, I already read that part. Oh, what color of the electric sheep you see? That is actually a play on words, and it's actually referencing, do androids dream of electric sheep? It's a book, which is also the inspiration for a movie, The Blade Runner, which I think is also the inspiration for Cyberpunk. And it's fascinating because it has a lot to do with AI and androids and cyborgs and cybernetics and people swapping out all of their body parts. And at what point does an AI become a human, which is really a big part of Angela? At what point is she actually human? Was she human before because she had her own sentience and her own love and her own feelings and her own thoughts? Or will she never, ever, ever be a human, even if she becomes a human? Because even though she has all the new organic parts, she was created, she was fabricated. So that is a very philosophical conundrum. And like, there's moral conundrums with it. There's all sorts of different conundrums with that whole idea. I love talking about stuff like that, but that's what this is referencing. That is definitely referencing that. And I noticed that right off the rip. The second I heard Electric Sheep, I'm like, oh, I know that one. Oh, clever. I love the book. I love the movies. I love the whole philosophical debate of what is a human, what is not a human. It goes along with, I forget what it's called, but there is a thought experiment, and we all know I love my thought experiments, but there's a thought experiment, I think it's about a boat, and this idea that if you replace each part of a boat, one board at a time, and I'm talking like a big wooden ship, so you replace it one board at a time, at what point is it no longer the original boat, and is it a brand new boat? Or will it never be a brand new boat, and it's always the first boat? Because the spirit of that boat will remain. So then the song goes on. And if you love me, can you love your everything too for me? Oh, that's powerful. Because how can you love someone if you can't love yourself first? And if you do love someone and they love you, are you obligated to love yourself then, out of the love that you have for them? That one's perplexing, and I don't even want to touch that because I don't want to influence people's thoughts, but I am super curious. And I hate like begging for comments or things, but if you're interested, I want to know what people think about that one. And please try not to put other people's opinions down because there is no right answer to this, but if you love someone with all your heart, but you hate yourself, is it true love? Or do you have to love yourself if they truly love you and you truly love them? Is there any room then for you to also hate yourself? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't, and I would be thrilled to read through the comments and see what other people have to say about that one, because that's fascinating. I love Project Lore. I love doing these because we get to talk about this kind of stuff. I love it. I don't know how else to explain it, but I really want to get across that this is awesome. This is like the best thing in the whole world. And there are very few games, if any, out there that really let us dive into these sort of topics and really get in there to all the small details and like look at the human condition and what we are as a society and as people. Okay, now for some credenzas, because I want to go through the different songs, but I noticed on the list that I pulled up that some of those songs only happen at the end of the game or toward the tail end of the game. So we're coming up on some of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do like one song every time I do another lore. So Dante's page, if we remember right, Dante is part of 7 Association. And the 7, oh wait, that's the English one. So the 7 Association deals with info and investigations. We collect all kinds of information on the city. Though, why aren't we disclosing the full details about certain cases to the general public? Through news outlets or anything, you ask? Some things are better left unknown, for the sake of the safety of the world. I guess that's true. Not everyone needs to know everything. There is a need-to-know basis, even though a lot of times we feel like we need to know everything. And I am just as much of a culprit as that as everyone else, but I guess it's true. There's some things that we just don't want to know, even though we think we do. Because the second you do, it changes your whole perspective. See, and that goes along with if there really was an apocalyptic event that humans could not stop, and like this giant planet maybe hurtling toward us, and we just don't have the technology to move it out of the way, would we want to know? Because the one side of that is, if things were really that bad and this were our final few days, it would be good to know. That way we could treasure these few moments. And we could spend time with loved ones the way we should. But the other side of that says there will be mass panic. And, it'll also bring out the bad parts of people as well. Because we won't treat people that we can't stand as nicely as we normally would, or, things like that. So it's hard to say. I think what that would do is it would just elevate people. All of their emotions there would be no filters anymore. If they love you, they will love you. If they hate you, they will hate you. And that's just how the humanity would be all the way up to the bitter end. Of course, could you imagine, like, that comes out and then nothing happens? Then you have to deal with the fallout and aftermath of all the crap you did? I think there's a few movies that talk about that sort of thing, and I would love to watch a couple of them. I haven't watched a movie in a long time, so I might actually see if I can Google and find anything like that. Take a look. Anyway, moving on. A 7 Association Fixers page. Section 3 feels empty these days. Oh, didn't you hear the news? Many of them died in that incident with the distortion last time. Even the guy we counted on resigned and ran off. The guy, I guess. That must have been someone higher up, huh? Right, that happened. I guess that's why the empty seats felt even more noticeable. He seemed pretty refreshed and relaxed on his last day. I wonder why he quit, though. Sure, the work here can be tough, but isn't it still easy compared to some others? Gotta agree with that. Beats having to worry about getting axed all the time. Rumor says he went on to join the musicians of Bremen. Oh, another one of those people. So they must be very strong if he's in the musicians. Because the musicians are the ones associated with blue. Ugh. We've probably seen the dude then. Why would he join that weird funky band? That is an apt description, I guess. Creepy would probably be better, but I like the fact that they chose funk, because that is a genre of music. You tell me. Maybe there was something more important than making a fortune and spending the rest of his life in comfort for him. No, that sounds fun to me. Why not do that? Okay, music, I guess. Music is more important. I guess certain people would sacrifice for their art, especially if they are passionate about it. I would, I guess. But can't you have both? Isn't both good? Both is good. Bamboo-headed Kim. We value the art of violence more than anything here. Those with an unscathed body are not permitted to join us. A swordsman who does not have a single blade scar on his skin is doubtlessly too careful when he wields his weapon, and his inane hesitation will be an obstacle. Too resolute to endure the wounds his own blade would leave, let alone the assault of others. A body free of scars is proof of cowardice. Alas, it would be wise not to expose your wounds outside of those on your face. So, bamboo-headed Kim apparently thinks that people who aren't flailing their sword around and like cutting themselves in the process of also cutting their enemies are cowards? I understand that you might get a cut here or there just from practicing and like trying something new, because your technique isn't going to be flawless yet, but wouldn't you want someone so good that they don't have any cuts? Period? Like they've been in a lot of fights, but they haven't been cut or stabbed by their enemy, and their skill is so good that they haven't cut themselves ever? I don't know, that seems a little counterintuitive, but then again, I think what Bamboo-Headed Kim is saying is that they're looking for someone super reckless and who is going to run head first into the fray and not be afraid of taking any sort of damage. Whereas someone who is not experienced at all, the second they get cut or they take a little bit of damage, they may flinch a little. It's kind of like when you jump into cold water. There's that initial gut reaction like, oh my god, this is completely unique and new and I can't stand it. But if you do it a lot, you just get used to it. I still would want the person that's so good they've never been cut ever. Or maybe like paper cuts, and that's it. A Blade Lineage Cutthroat's page. Blade Lineage isn't known for coordination. It's little more than a cohort of people who have nowhere else to go, or those who carry the intent to murder someone. Oh, okay, cool. I guess that's Bamboo-Headed Kim, then. I didn't realize that they were just blatant murderers. Most who seek to join us sit at lowly social positions. It's not rare for such people to hold a deadly grudge against someone. You'd best behave before those who are more skilled than you. We may be a band of murderous ruffians, but we understand our place. Ah, so this is another one similar to the thumb, where you have to know your place and make sure you behave yourself, because otherwise bad things will happen to you. But it's not so much that you have to follow a specific set of rules, it's that if you're more powerful, you can get away with anything. At least in this group. And that's sort of what Bamboo-Headed Kim, I guess, is representing. Honestly, it's a reflection of the whole city. If you're strong, you can do whatever you want. And if you're not strong, you can't. Ooh, we're finally into the start of the city. Now this is where things are going to get interesting, I have been told. I've been told that this is where things start to ramp up a little bit. So let's go down the line, step by step, starting with the Liu Association. Liu Association is a battle-oriented fixer association specializing in all-out combat. But not just combat, war. And there is a difference. So they're specifically designed for war. A lot of units all moving in one singular direction, trying to achieve domination. We receive requests from wings and fight great battles for them. Some may see the Liu's fighting style as old-fashioned, but we get frequent requests from those who want strong-willed and determined warriors. Most requests that come our way aren't complicated. 9 out of 10 are resolved by simply marching towards enemies and defeating them in battle. It doesn't require specific strategies or certain personnel. We're the Liu, the association that solely exists for war. That doesn't mean war is the only type of request we accept. After all, a fixer is free to take any request. The catch is that all requests must be reported to the Hana Association after you deal with them. The report must include the details of the request, the client's info, how the case was resolved, and any other relevant information. Once the report has been submitted, Hana Association will assess the performance of the office and its fixers, and evaluate them for promotion or demotion. That's how the grades of offices and fixers are updated. Therefore, a fixer's grade doesn't necessarily correlate with strength. Oh, it's performance-based. So someone that is just, they're super strong, but they just don't do what they're supposed to do, they could be a grade 9 fixer. But yet, be the most strong person in the world. And because they're lazy and don't want to do anything, they don't. Since they fail all of their missions, they get demoted a lot. Or they take the easiest path, and that's just not what the person wanted. Like, hey, I did it. And they're like, yeah, but not the way I wanted. So they're like demoted. But they could find a way around that by just taking easy, awesome requests then. Oh, but that's the flip side. People who are really high up could also not be super strong because they're taking easy requests and working their way up using easy requests. Or something that like matches their skill set specifically. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that idea a lot. Because someone that is really focused could, hide under the radar. And someone who is also super focused could also achieve more than they should. So there is a little flexibility with this. I was under the impression that no one really had a way to weasel out of the rules of the city. But they can bend the rules, they can use them, control them. That's neat. One last thing I'd like to add is that there is a line fixers shouldn't cross. A fixer may advertise themselves or their office to get more requests, but they should not threaten people to give requests to them. This is an area handled by the HANA Association, and I don't know that one. Ofi? The Woofy? Ofi? Ofe? I don't know. I don't know what language that one is, so I don't know how to pronounce that. But they're a specialist in dealing with transactions. Of course, associations shouldn't have to worry about running out of requests in the first place. Yeah, I mean, if it's an association, each one, I think, has their own specialization, and they're all specifically designed to handle different things. So I would assume that they would never run out of requests. It's an assumption, but I'm pretty sure that would be pretty accurate. Lao's page! Oh man, he's got a lot to say, specifically about Zhao, because I saw that was the first word. Buddy, get a room! Zhao was a cold person who wouldn't easily show her feelings, even though the Lu consists of those who only face forward and never express any emotion in battle. Zhao was especially hard-edged above the rest. I came to wonder if she was capable of possessing emotions at all. Her tone was dry in the most upsetting situations, and she seemed apathetic to the loss of several colleagues, never showing her emotions in response to anything, but thoroughly looking after herself. That was my impression of Zhao. I thought the path Zhao was walking was completely different from mine. We disagreed on every aspect, from strategies to personalities. I thought my relationship with her would stay a formal relation between two co-working directors of an association. I don't remember when and how we got so close to each other. I couldn't be bothered to push away the person who naturally came to my side. We started spending more time together outside of work. People intersect one another somehow. Though I have no clue how our paths managed to converge or what about the paths led them to cross, one thing I can say for certain is that our relationship isn't a superficial bond between two directors. We need each other because we cherish each other, not the other way around. Can you really call it love if you only cherish your significant other because you need something out of them? Oh, I was hoping it would be love. I mean, technically, that's still love. I just think that they're a little confused, right? Just a little. I was hoping for true love somewhere in the city. Oh, no, we found it. That was Lulu. Yeah. Oops. I still feel bad about that one. At the very least, I don't think of Zhao as an object of exploitation, nor gratification. However, I know that preaching love is utterly meaningless in this city. A fixer should never be carried away by emotion. I know well that a person at a position as high as mine should be extra careful. I've seen countless fixers who brought private matters to the office grounds, only to meet undesirable results. The moment you get swayed by something you cherish, You lose yourself. You neglect your own safety. Yes, Xiao does. Xiao does lose herself and neglect her own safety and distort and then egofy. And then after she egofied, then she came and lost her life. I mean, it's like he was predicting the future. Oh no. It's that pit in my stomach. I think people normally call that guilt. In the city, it's eat or be eaten, and we're big and bad and strong, so we're going to devour everything in our path and get stronger. That's just how it works. No hard feelings, right, Lau? When a human, a creature that always puts itself above all else, loses their edge because of what they hold dear and places higher priority on it over their own life, the consequences will be grim in any case. Knowing this, I decided to remind ourselves of one thing when we plighted our troth. Whatever happens to each other, we won't put ourselves at risk. As I thought, Xiao agreed plainly and rightly. I could trust in Xiao, and I was glad to have this person as my lifelong partner. It was reassuring to know that Xiao wouldn't throw away her own life if I ever died. Focus on my own survival, even in a mortal peril. Perhaps my heart has grown stronger since I met her. Having her next to me was already a great help to me at that point. So yeah, it's love. They just are afraid. They're afraid to label it. So this whole situationship that they have going on is just, it's a relationship. But it was also kind of neat to see Xiao like go off the deep end and say, no, you give him back. Even though she knows that he's gone and there's like no bringing him back. It's nice to see her, like someone really care about someone else. So again, I absolutely adore the Lu Association because it just feels so relatable. They actually care about each other. They actually hold each other tight, and they feel like a unified group, which I guess you get that way when you're thinking of things as like an all-out war. You have your brothers at arms that you want to support regardless of what happens. Especially in the city, a place that's super dangerous, and you could lose your own life or the lives of others at any second. So it's really neat to see this, and how this differs completely from all the other associations and syndicates and offices. They really did such a good job of having such a variety of people in the city. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it here because it's already getting kind of long. And in the next episode, we might actually do a little bit more Project Lore, or we might be moving on to the next infight. I haven't decided yet. Either way, it's going to be exciting. And thanks again for everything, and a happy new year to everyone. Let's hope 2026 is even better than all the other years before. So take care, and goodbye!